just as I thought I could finish the video and head to bed, Skelly did this entire paste bin, fully translated interview, which thank you very much, Skelly. Does really appreciate it. So I'll be covering over each question and the answers. There's a lot of interesting information here. Question about the Blade Master Third Awakening footage. How are the other class development going? We are planning to update each class with due time with specific intervals which aren't specific yet, probably starting with Blade Masters to KFM, Destroyers, and then Force Masters, and etc. The reason for this is the quality of the update, so it might seem depressing for users playing classes that are behind on the schedule. Please know that this is better for the longevity of the game, which is good. I would rather have them make everything polished and everything good and release it late than just kind of be a cluster, a huge mess. For example, the Awakening patch, when that first came out, it was pretty messy. For each of the third spec updates, will you do this footage upload? I'm not sure, but at least the planning is like this. We've got footage, test server upload, feedback from users, and then live server update. Okay, fair enough. For Blade Master, the spec concept is specific, but for classes like Assassins, it's pretty vague and looks alike just by the names of it. Those were the initial concepts that we planned to stick to, but as development went on, we had to change it a bit too. We will try to stick to the names and the concept, but if it feels vague and awkward for the users, we will change it. What about gear farming for the new spec? You'll be able to change your current gear to new gear for the third spec. When a new spec releases or the meta changes, farming gear is breathtaking, which is annoying, and we are aware of it. This is also why we united the elemental damage so players can swap specs respectively freely regardless of gear. How about letting this free swap system as a system and not an event? That is a way to solve this, but it requires systematic support and hard to think about the cost, etc. But we are working on it. Okay, so that's good. Basically, they're thinking about making a system where we can just exchange our accessories, our elemental accessories, as a permanent system and not an event. I hope that works out. When can we expect Unreal Engine 4 to arrive? It's hard to say, but we've made a lot of progress since we set it on the roadmap VOD. During the roadmap release, we were working on converting the Unreal Engine 3 resources we had into Unreal Engine 4, but the feedback we got was, what changed? So we changed our goal to not just converting the engine, to remastering the game to a modern quality. We've made progress so that the characters can run around in the map and use skills. We hope to release this soon. Modern quality? It is mostly about physics effects. If Unreal Engine 3 gave a cartoon-like feeling, Unreal Engine 4 will be more realistic based on physics rendering. If this Unreal Engine 4 upgrade requires more PC specs, some people might have a problem. The initial goal was to get better quality at better environment, but the recent mobile development, we figured out ways to optimize it better at lower specs too. Also, since there might be users that prefer the old graphics, we're planning to keep both of the clients viable. So this is very interesting. It's good news as well. I mean, they're really trying hard to push Blade and Soul onto the mobile platforms because that's where the money is, but in turn it's helped us PC players quite a bit because they've found ways to optimize the game. Currently, Blade and Soul has a problem in Dungeon/Battlegrounds where the CPU tanks so much rather than the GPU. With Unreal Engine 4, the game will be able to use the PC specs better than before. That's what I want to hear. Good stuff. About the guild content announced on the roadmap, it is still at the stage where it's just like other games, but we're working on it. One way to expect this content is to go back to Hell Island content, guild content back in 2015, where 20 to 30 people in the map and the FPS goes straight down. This will also be related to Unreal Engine 4 release. We actually tested with Hell Island, but with that many people in it, it was hard to feel originality of BNS combat. So we are attempting to change it to a more guerrilla type concept. I don't know what Hell Island is. I'm assuming that this is the Battle Royale, but I never really had that many issues in Battle Royale on my computer in the Chinese server. So I don't know what they're talking about here, but I guess it's the Battle Royale server, the map. What about fishing and live contents? Fishing will be released on January in the live servers, and starting from this, we will make more live content. Players will be able to get many types of fish and record the biggest type of fish and have fun with that. Okay, so more stuff. We're also brainstorming the ideas such as adventure, but not sure if it should be included in the updates. We're planning to combine live contents with crafting so players can make useful items to use in dungeons and raids. Question. We see fishing in many RPGs. What's distinctive for BNS? BNS fishing is non-stressful, and you can earn somewhat useful items for combat. Plains fishing, okay. In the January update, we will release only a few fishing spots, but with feedback, we will add more types of fish and more fishing spots. We will add aspects like obtaining different fish from different fishing points from same regions to make fishing more fun and to make the community more lively. BNS raids were known to be very hard compared to other content, but the recent Eternity Temple is known to be easy. Any reason for this? We have internally talked about the subject a lot. Before, we thought if the newer the dungeon were on the same level of hardness as the older dungeons, we wouldn't be able to satisfy the users. But after a certain point, this rather backfired by making users think, will we be able to clear, rather than just having fun. This is the reason for the easier raid. We are not certain how much easier it should be, but we don't want it to be too easy so people don't feel challenged at all. How did you change the difficulty? Before, we usually manipulated the difficulty by changing the ways the game tells the player to solve the puzzle and to be more indirect and harder, but now we changed it so it's more direct and easier. If the new spec releases, won't it be harder to obtain items that you want from the dungeons? We will change the loot table a bit so that you can earn items depending on your class group, so the time and probability will be kept similar. Warden is supposed to be a tank, but it isn't really working as one due to its slow attack speed. What do you think about this? Warden wasn't designed to take Blade Master or KFM's places as a tank. Tank users will usually have a hard time in the game, so casual users that want to play tanks had a problem. Warden was released to relieve this problem. It's true that Warden is not at the same level as a Blade Master or KFM, but depending on the player level, it can be played as a good tank. Due to Warden using a greatsword, it has a slow attack speed, while in dungeons they use more faster and faster patterns, so Warden has a hard time to keep up. We are trying to change this, and we will help Warden players to work as a tank. A new class after Warden, as many players expect, a ranged character designed to have a more difficult control and be compensated with good DPS will be released. So this is probably the Archer. As I expected, the Archer is going to be a very difficult class to play, probably a lot of like CC or a lot of like weird setup, but they should have really high DPS. About the recent dev notes, what PvE changes can we expect? We are gathering information like class DPS based on dungeon clear data. We also found that some of this data is off from what we expected, so we're trying to statistically figure this out and routinely fix it. But since the changes might go against PvP changes, we will change it slowly. For PvP, we are trying to apply changes as the season ends regarding the comps used, win rate, and popular classes, class population, etc. For PvE, we are aware of the differences between classes, and we want to tell players we are not intending this, and it will be fixed one by one. Also, even in the same classes, there are differences between specs, and we're trying to figure out to fix these differences. Okay, that's interesting. I hope they fix wind summoners, please, please, please. The new achievement system, I don't know what it's called in English, has received positive feedback since it's free to win, free to play, whatever. What can we expect more from it? We wanted users to feel like they were getting stronger as they play the game. Homemoon levels required immense amounts of EXP, so we thought of other ways to match this. We see that some players already got through level 50 to level 60, so we unlock new levels and slots regularly in the future. After level 60 unlock, there are complaints about characters getting weaker after reaching level 60. Blade and Soul's stat system basically shows the stats you get when you hit a target with the same level. For example, if you hit a level 60 target with a level 50 character, you will get reduced crit rate, and that's what it shows in your P stats. But with the level 60 update, we did find this system was not working properly, and this problem has been fixed. Finally, any words for BNS users? Many users are waiting for the third spec release. We are working hard internally and trying to create more fun into the game. Also, get hyped for the new class that will be released in 2019. Aw yeah. We know there are expectations for Unreal Engine 4, but we aren't ready yet to meet those expectations and are working hard for a release. Summary on accurate dates and schedules. Third spec will be done class by development update, so we're going to be Blade Master first, KFM, Destroyers, and then Force Masters. Fishing will be released on January of 2019, and the new class will be released in 2019. And also the new class will have an alpha call. Thank you very much, Skelly, for the translations. And now for my thoughts about this. A lot of good things. The developers in NC Soft clearly care about this game a lot, even though they know the money is in the mobile side. But just all of this information is definitely good news and has kind of, calmed everyone a little bit, let everyone know that they're still working on the game. Don't worry. We still have a lot of content coming to Blade and Soul. So other than that, I'm pretty happy about a lot of things. Like, they've acknowledged that there are certain specs and classes that are not balanced. For example, the Earth Summoner versus the Wind Summoner. Earth Summoner is just far superior to the Wind Summoner, and it kind of really sucks. I really hope that they do something to fix the Wind Summoner to make it a viable class without sacrificing 200-300k DPS. And they've also acknowledged that the Warden has a very slow attack speed, and they kind of announced that Warden was sort of like a band-aid class for players that wanted to get into the melee life, into the tanking life, but were more casual players, and they didn't want to go through the stress of learning a Blade Master or KFM, stuff like that. And they also acknowledged that the difficulty, for example, when we went to Twilight Temple, the difficulty on the third boss is insane. However, they're addressing that as well. The new raid, Eternity Temple, is not as difficult, or so they say. I'm not sure, never read any guides yet, but good to know. And other than that, it's just good news overall. I'm just happy with everything. The only quote-unquote bad news is Unreal Engine 4 has no official release date. So even though Jonathan did say sometime in 2019, it's really dependent on NC Soft's half. So if Korea gets Unreal Engine 4, soon after we'll get it on the NA/EU servers. So it really depends on them. And I would rather have them hold it off and slowly work on it and release it when it's done, when it's ready, and not rush it. Because if they rush it, there might be a lot of more optimization issues or crashes and stuff like that, and we don't want that. That covers the interview. And again, thanks a lot, Skelly, for translating this and sharing this with everyone. Anyhow, if you like this type of content, I would appreciate a subscribe. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome?